The election of a new pope is one of the most secretive and ancient traditions in the Christian world. For centuries, the Vatican has conducted this sacred process behind closed doors, following rituals that date back hundreds of years. But what really happens when those magnificent red doors of the Sistine Chapel close? What rules must these princes of the Church follow as they select God's representative on earth? Today, we're going to take you behind those sacred walls to reveal 10 truly shocking rules that cardinals must follow during a papal election. These aren't just guidelines, they're sacred obligations that shape one of Christianity's most profound moments. What you're about to learn might challenge everything you thought you knew about this sacred process. Some of these rules are so extreme, so unexpected that they've remained largely unknown to the average Christian. So join me on this journey into the heart of Vatican City, where tradition, faith, and divine guidance come together in the mysterious process known as the Conclave. Imagine being completely cut off from your family, friends, and the entire outside world. No phones, no internet, no television, not even a whisper from beyond the walls. This is exactly what happens to cardinals during a papal election. Once the conclave begins, these men, some of the most powerful figures in the Catholic Church, are sealed inside the Vatican. The Latin term conclave literally means with a key. They are locked inside until they elect a new pope. But here's what's truly shocking. This isolation isn't just spiritual. It's physical. Windows are covered. Electronic jammers block all signals. Any cardinal caught communicating with the outside world faces immediate excommunication. Think about that for a moment. These senior church leaders, many in their 70s and 80s, some with health conditions completely severed from their doctors, families, and support systems, all for the sake of ensuring divine guidance without worldly interference. Would you be willing to disconnect so completely for the sake of your faith? Before entering the conclave, each cardinal, regardless of their status or reputation, must undergo a thorough security screening. Yes, you heard that correctly. These princes of the Church, some of the most trusted men in Catholicism, are physically searched for hidden electronic devices, recording equipment, or any means of communication with the outside world. Special technicians sweep the Sistine Chapel and all living quarters with state-of-the-art equipment to detect any hidden microphones, cameras, or transmitters. The Vatican Security Service employs technology similar to what's used in high-level government intelligence operations. Imagine this scene. Elderly cardinals in their crimson robes standing with arms outstretched as security personnel pass metal detectors over their sacred vestments. Each one's personal belongings are inspected. Their rooms are searched multiple times daily. Why such extreme measures? Because the Church believes that divine inspiration requires absolute separation from worldly influences and political pressures. But it also reveals a startling truth that even among the most holy men, temptation exists and human weakness must be guarded against. The actual voting process would shock most Christians with its complexity and ceremonial precision. Each cardinal receives a rectangular ballot paper with the words Elego in Summum Pontificem printed at the top. I elect as Supreme Pontiff. Below this, they must write their chosen candidate's name in handwriting that is disguised enough to hide their identity, yet legible enough to be read. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. Cardinals must approach the altar one by one, in full view of their brothers, holding their folded ballot high in the air. They then kneel in prayer before placing it on a plate that sits atop a large chalice. They must then swear the sacred oath. I call as my witness Christ the Lord, who will be my judge, that my vote is given to the one who before God I think should be elected. After this solemn promise, they tilt the plate, allowing the ballot to slide into the chalice. Think about the psychological weight of this moment. Each man, alone before God and his peers, making a decision that will affect over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. The pressure, the spiritual responsibility, the knowledge that their choice might alter the course of religious history. This isn't just voting, it's a sacred ritual where human choice meets divine guidance. During the conclave, these powerful men, many accustomed to private apartments and comfortable living, must accept extraordinarily humble accommodations. The cardinals are housed in the Domus Sancti Marthi, a 5-story building within Vatican City that resembles a simple hotel. But don't imagine luxury. Each cardinal is assigned a small, plainly furnished room with a single bed, a small desk, a simple chair, a tiny bathroom, no television, no radio, no newspapers, no amenities. Meals are taken communally in silence or with minimal conversation. The food is intentionally simple, nothing elaborate or indulgent is served during this sacred time. The shocking contrast between their normal lives and these conditions is deliberate. It's designed to focus their minds entirely on their spiritual duty, free from worldly comforts and distractions. Some cardinals, especially elderly ones with health conditions, find these arrangements physically challenging. Yet they endure this ascetic existence, sometimes for weeks, as a form of spiritual preparation for their momentous decision. This physical sacrifice symbolizes something profound, that in the search for divine guidance, even basic human comforts must be set aside. It's a powerful reminder of the seriousness with which the Church approaches this sacred duty. Perhaps the most visually recognizable aspect of papal elections is the smoke that rises from the Sistine Chapel chimney, black when no pope has been elected, white when a new pontiff is chosen. But few Christians understand the ancient and meticulous process that creates this famous signal. After each round of voting, every single ballot must be burned. This isn't just tradition, it's a sacred obligation to maintain secrecy. Cardinals assigned as scrutineers gather the ballots, thread them together with a needle and string, and then burn them in a special stove installed solely for this purpose. To produce the black smoke, the ballots are burned with a chemical compound that creates dark fumes. For the white smoke announcing a new pope, different chemicals are added to produce bright white smoke. What's truly remarkable is that this ancient system, dating back centuries, continues even in our digital age. In a world of instant communication, the Church chooses to announce this momentous decision through smoke signals rising above St. Peter's Square. This symbolic communication between the sealed cardinals and the waiting world reminds us that some sacred traditions transcend our modern need for immediate information. It forces the faithful to wait, to watch, to pray, connecting them to generations of Christians who have participated in this same watchful anticipation. In our modern democratic world, many elections are decided by simple majorities. 51% is enough to win. But the papal election operates by a far more demanding standard. A candidate must receive 2/3 of the votes to become pope. Not 51%. Not 60%. A full 2/3 of all cardinal electors must agree on one man. This extraordinary threshold has profound implications. It means that no pope can be elected by a narrow margin or a divided college of cardinals. It ensures that the new pontiff has overwhelming support from his brothers. But here's what's truly extraordinary. If the cardinals fail to elect someone after approximately 30 ballots over 10 to 12 days, special rules can be invoked that could potentially lower this threshold. This rarely discussed provision reveals the tension between divine guidance and practical necessity. The Church believes that the Holy Spirit guides this process, yet simultaneously acknowledges that human factors might create deadlock. It's a fascinating balance between faith in divine intervention and recognition of human fallibility. This demanding 2/3 rule has sometimes resulted in lengthy conclaves throughout history. The longest lasted nearly 3 years in the 13th century. Imagine the spiritual and psychological pressure as days turn into weeks, each man wondering, is our inability to reach consensus a failure of our own, or is God guiding us toward a choice not yet clear? Age brings wisdom, experience, and perspective. Yet in a shocking departure from what many might expect, cardinals who have reached their 80th birthday are barred from participating in papal elections. These senior princes of the Church, often with decades of service and unparalleled institutional knowledge, must step aside when the time comes to choose a new pope. This rule, established by Pope Paul VI in 1970 and reinforced by subsequent popes, creates a startling reality: the most senior members of the College of Cardinals, those who have served longest and often known previous popes most intimately, have no direct say in selecting the next leader. The rationale is practical, ensuring that those who elect the pope will likely serve under his leadership. Yet it creates the poignant image of these elderly servants of Christ, watching from the sidelines as their younger brothers make this momentous decision. For many cardinals, this transition from elector to observer marks a profound shift in their ecclesiastical role. Imagine devoting your entire life to the Church, rising to its highest ranks, only to be told that your final years will be spent without this crucial voting privilege. Before the conclave begins, each cardinal must place his hand on the gospel and swear an oath of absolute secrecy, an oath that does not end when the new pope is elected. It continues until death. The penalty for breaking this oath? Immediate excommunication, the most severe punishment the Church can impose, effectively cutting someone off from the sacraments and the community of believers. This means that all the discussions, the politicking, the spiritual struggles, and the personal interactions that occur during a conclave remain forever hidden from the world. No memoirs. No interviews. No historical accounts from those who were actually there. Think about the weight of carrying such secrets for decades. Imagine knowing exactly why a particular pope was chosen, the qualities that swayed the cardinals, the concerns that were expressed, and never being able to share this information even as historians speculate and the public wonders. This lifelong vow transforms the conclave from a mere election into a sacred mystery, one whose inner workings remain known only to those who participated and to God himself. When a pope dies or resigns, one of the most symbolic moments occurs when the Camerlengo Chamberlain destroys the Pope's ring of the fisherman in the presence of the cardinals. This gold ring, bearing the image of St. Peter fishing from a boat, is used to seal official papal documents. It is unique to each pope and serves as a symbol of his authority. The destruction of this ring isn't just ceremonial, it's a necessary security measure to prevent the forgery of papal documents during the sede vacante, empty seat, period. But the manner of its destruction is striking in its finality. The ring is physically hammered and defaced until it can never be used again. This physical act symbolizes the definitive end of one papacy before another can begin. Imagine witnessing this solemn moment. The sound of metal striking metal, the visual destruction of a symbol worn by the man who led the worldwide church. It's a powerful reminder of the temporary nature of earthly authority, even one as revered as the papacy. Perhaps the most emotionally powerful tradition happens immediately after a new pope is elected in a small room few Christians have ever heard of. Once the final vote confirms the new pope and he accepts his election, he is escorted not to a place of celebration but to a tiny chamber adjacent to the Sistine Chapel known as the Room of Tears. Its name comes from the overwhelming emotional response many newly elected popes have experienced there. Alone for the first time since his election, faced with white papal vestments in 3 different sizes laid out before him, the reality of his new responsibility often brings even the strongest men to tears. In this small room, a man who entered the conclave as a cardinal transforms into the supreme pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. The weight of responsibility for 1.3 billion souls worldwide suddenly rests on his shoulders. Former popes have described this moment as one of profound spiritual crisis. Feeling wholly inadequate before the task God has called them to. Pope Benedict XVI described his election as a guillotine falling on me. Imagine the psychological and spiritual intensity of this transition in mere minutes, going from being one of many cardinals to being viewed as Christ's vicar on earth. The Room of Tears represents this profound human moment within the divine process. These 10 rules reveal something extraordinary about papal elections. They balance divine guidance with human reality in a process unlike any other on earth. While presidents and prime ministers are elected through political campaigns and public debates, the successor to St. Peter emerges from silence, prayer, and ancient ritual. The elaborate precautions, the ceremonial voting, the sacred oaths all point to the Church's belief that this isn't merely a human decision but a divine appointment. For Catholics worldwide, the white smoke rising above the Vatican represents more than a new leader. It's a visible sign of God's continued guidance of His Church through human instruments. As we've uncovered these shocking rules and traditions, perhaps we've gained a deeper appreciation for this sacred process that has endured for nearly 2 millennia. These rules don't just elect a pope, they connect modern Christians to the ancient foundations of their faith. Thank you for joining me on this journey behind the closed doors of the Papal Conclave. If you found this video enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe for more explorations of Christianity's most fascinating traditions and mysteries. Until next time, may God bless you and keep you in His grace.